taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This is Augmented Reality,
Presented by the Triple S League.
All right, everybody, it's the E3 2019 pre-show on the Triple S League. This is also the Augmented Reality podcast. We're kind of doing double duty with one live stream, so this is going to be this should be a fun time. Of course, E3 kicking off this weekend with tons of live streams and press conferences, and then going into next week, there's going to be all kinds of info dropping. So it's going to be a fun week, one of the biggest weeks in gaming news of the year. An exciting time, which I'm sure none of you have been anticipating, sitting on the edge of your seats, waiting for at all. So, yeah, might as well just quit now. Hey, Cyb?
E3, what is that? Some kind of like small get together where devs talk or something? Yeah, no.
Should have planned that one better. Okay, sorry. Anyway, this is the Augmented Reality podcast, your source for news, leaks, and insights about games in the gaming industry. June 8th, of course, the day before June 9th, when we're anticipating tons of information to be dropping. We'll get into our full broadcast schedule for the next few days as part of this podcast, plus the news is flowing freely, plus the leaks are flowing freely. Which ones are real, which are not, we're going to get into that. This is the Saturday edition of the Augmented Reality podcast, and as I said, also doubling down as our E3 pre-show. And tons of you waiting in the wings, waiting for this podcast to start today, so hopefully we don't disappoint. Hello, everybody in the live chat. Rashad Holmes, all the dank memes. And we've got Dr. Zoidberg. Hey, welcome. Love your show. Rashad Holmes, I said you already. What are you doing sneaking in twice? Notional, Overlord 580, HTK Gaming, Escaflu, Nicola Yurkin, and Niv Ozzy, Blunt Man, Bernie Carrillo, Ali Mahfouz, Alan Williams. Welcome, everybody. And, yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the hype for the podcast. Thank you for joining us so early. It is really early for us. It always feels like it's a bit of a rough start on Saturdays because we're energized and hyped to go, but then all of a sudden, for some reason, the brain just wants to go off in a bunch of different directions when it's this early in the morning. So anyway, hopefully we can stay focused, stay on point. We've got a long weekend of live streams ahead. And so let's just jump into it. So welcome everybody I see a bunch of other people are joining, so this is fantastic. So as I said, we're going to be discussing E3, so definitely put your predictions, what you're hyped for, put what you're most excited to see, if there's anything you want us to talk about. A little later in the podcast, if any specific games, you see a list of them in the title there that we're going to go through, but if there's anything else, I mean, there's so much we could talk about. So definitely let us know what you are the most hyped for, and we'll try and get to that as well. We've got a ton of news to get to. First, I'm just going to go quickly through our broadcast schedule for the weekend. So, I mean, today we've got this show here on YouTube. Now, in order to avoid potential copyright claim issues, which last year got us actually knocked off of our ability to live stream on YouTube, we're going to be restreaming some E3 showcases again, but we're going to be doing that on Twitch. The channel there is twitch.tv/triple_S_league. So definitely bookmark that one so you can catch our E3 showcase restreams, which we're going to be restreaming with commentary, probably with some guests as well, as per usual. So today, we've only got one going on today. We are going to be restreaming part of the EA Play Showcase, the part where they focus on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And that takes place...
Sorry. Didn't they have like a big lineup of stuff today?
They do.
Oh, I'm sorry. For a second there, I thought you said we were restreaming the important stuff versus just the general stuff. The only thing that's important coming out from E3 is going to be about the Star Wars game. Everything else that EA is putting out right now is complete and total trash. Just wanted to be clear about that.
So about 3.5 hours after the start of this podcast, EA goes live with their Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order coverage. And so that's 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Central European Standard Time. So there's all your There's all your time zone codes. No, there's all your times for your various time zones. EA is also, they're streaming throughout the day. They're going to be doing coverage on Apex Legends, Battlefield 5, FIFA Sports, Madden, and The Sims 4. So, I mean...
Like I said, absolutely nothing of interest other than... Well, Sims... I mean, they really killed that. They really killed The Sims. Just with all the complete garbage that they were doing with that. So, I don't think there's anything going to be there, frankly. I think, Sims is one of those things where they just can't help themselves to basically run the microtransactions up to 11 on that, because it's just too easy for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a type of game that's ripe for that kind of a thing. I remember when the first Sims came out, and looking back, it was basically made for mobile, even though it was on PC, and mobile games weren't really a thing at that point.
Yeah, no, they started microtransactioning it right away.
Right. Yeah, all right. So that's our coverage for today. So we'll be covering the Star Wars Jedi, as I said, in about 3 and a bit hours. But tomorrow is the huge day. We are going to be going all day, and that starts off at 11 a.m. Pacific time, the normal starting time for the Cyberpunk 2077 Community Podcast. That's going to be on YouTube. That's going to be on our channel. That is a collaboration between us, the Mad Queen Show, Last Known Meal, and the Neon Arcade, which is this. So that's typical. That's a normal thing that we do every week on Sundays. Mm-hmm. So a lot of you are familiar with that. That's going to be on our channel. I will actually be joining the team this time, so that should be a lot of fun. So that'll
sorry. Last minute change. Mad Queen is going to host it. Some stuff came through today, so she will be hosting tomorrow's community podcast tomorrow. And this came in about 3 minutes ago. I just forgot to mention it.
So scratch what I said. So it's not on our channel. Okay. It's going to be. I'm going to have to change that on the Discord schedule. By the way, you can find the entire schedule for the weekend and Monday on our Discord server. All right, so it's not on our channel. It's on the Mad Queen Show's channel, and it'll be on our channel next week then, correct?
Yeah.
All right. That's going to be on YouTube. So our podcasts today and tomorrow are going to be here on YouTube. Obviously, you're listening to this one on YouTube right now, so tomorrow's is also going to be on YouTube. And then the E3 restreams are all going to be on Twitch. All right. Hope that's clear and not too confusing. A little switching back and forth there, but 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central European Standard Time. That's the Cyberpunk 2077 Community Podcast on YouTube on the Mad Queen Show's channel. Now then, we've got a whole ton of showcases going live tomorrow, E3 showcases. Starting 1 p.m. Pacific Time, we have the Microsoft/Xbox showcase, Cyberpunk hype. We are expecting to see them there. We're expecting to see something from CD Projekt Red, plus just a ton of other exciting stuff. I mean, we've reported on Xbox and Microsoft and what they're doing. They're going to be delving into cloud streaming, plus they're collaborating with Steam and just trying to bring a lot of stuff to PC gaming. So, I mean, even if you're not a console gamer, this is definitely one to tune into to see what they're doing. We're going to be getting a lot of Xbox games that are going to be available on PC in the near future. And it's also interesting to see what they're going to be doing with cloud streaming. They're actually teaming up with Sony on that to take on that juggernaut known as Google. So, lots of interesting stuff to keep your eye on there. That's 1 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 10 p.m. Central European Standard. Then, a few hours after that, we've got the Bethesda showcase. That starts at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And Bethesda, we don't know what they're going to bring, really. I mean, we know we're going to be seeing something from Fallout 76, and we're going to be talking a little bit about today about Fallout 76 and some announcements that have come through on that. But other than that, I mean, we know a little bit about what to expect from them, but not really a ton. We're also expecting to see probably some info about Rage 2. Remember that game? And then, what else would you say? We know for sure Bethesda's coming. I'm sure there's something, but...
70. Well, they're
Slipping my
going to
mind.
have a huge thing about 76.
I imagine 76 is going to. Well, I hope
They're-
76 does not take up the majority of the show there. 'Cause I
No,
wanna
it
see some
won't.
other
It won't
stuff.
take up the majority of the show. But what they are going to do is they're going to come out. There's probably going to be like a kind of an apology thing, where Todd is going to make light of, we thought it was going to be difficult, but did we not understand that? So they're going to say, there's all this free DLC coming, there's all this stuff coming, we're going to be launching it for free, we're going to be giving away, anybody who bought it's going to be getting like all these special cool things, and they're probably going to announce going free to play, probably going to announce moving to Steam, probably going to do server rentals and mod work that'll be coming in sometime next year. It's more or less, as we kind of mentioned this on Wednesday, I think it's a good move. I've been told that the game is actually turning out to be pretty okay now. There's a big combat patch that's coming in. People who've been testing it have said that, look, it's a way better combat system just overall. It's like heads and shoulders above where it was when it released, and I don't think it's there yet. Let me clarify. I think when he said, I dare anybody to spend 10 hours or to play it again, and I'm like, I think that's partially true, but I would have waited until like the next two major DLCs are out.
I'm going to have to see something pretty spectacular if I'm going to put 10 more
Yeah.
hours into that game. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I would say wait until the second one, where reportedly, and we're probably going to see this tomorrow, where they'll announce that big NPC quest chains and events are coming, and that there'll be interactions with you'll probably have some kind of a settlement system where you recruit people to your settlement, and then they start so that you're going to be able to find people on quests and events and stuff like that you're going to be able to slowly add them to your settlement, and they'll be kind of like there all the time, and it'll be quite interesting to see exactly where they go from there. But because they figured out, I think it dawned on them that once they allow player mods to hit the game, and once they introduce modding, NPCs are just going to be added by the mods. So they should just get around to adding them themselves. I think that's what kind of more or less that they realized, and that I think that they realize that they can stitch together some of their story a little bit better and have a little bit more representation from some of the factions there, that if they were to go roundabout this way. So we'll see. It's not perfect, right? But what I'm saying is what I said back when it kind of hit the fan, is that they're not going to let this game just die, because they honestly believe that the reputation and that the game itself needs to be recovered at the same time. In that, in 4 years from now, lots of people will be playing 76 and will be excited about the next Fallout game, and that 76 is crucial to help cultivate that for the future. They did talk about how one of the worst MMO launches in history was their own Elder Scrolls Online, and it is now one of the best MMOs on the current market. And I would have to agree with that, in the amount of people who have played the game, who have said yes, this is actually a really, really good MMO right now, and that there's lots of things that they play the game for and enjoy. So I guess we can believe that or what, believe that or not. Some people, I understand. I'm still so hurt over the Elder Scrolls Online thing that I still haven't gone back to it. I was that upset by it. I wasn't that upset by 76 because I knew what they were trying for, and they just had an absolute crap rollout, and they failed on like every front. But I've said that in 3 or 4 years, especially once you get like a modding community around it, encouraging it, growing stuff, that eventually you'll see it kind of like even itself out, and hopefully they stop over monetizing it. We can hope, and we still have to hold their feet to the fire on that. Absolutely have to hold their feet to the fire on that. No more of this $30 skins, and can you please stop doing that right now? I don't know if they will, because it's a lot of money and there's a lot of greed. But,
Right. So, the Bethesda Showcase, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time tomorrow. That is Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:30 a.m. for you poor folks in Europe, in the Central European Standard Time Zone. Then again, it's Bethesda, so, if you wait till the following morning to watch it, probably not a big loss there. Mm-hmm. And then we will also be covering the Devolver Digital Showcase. I'm a big fan of Devolver Digital's games, have been for some time. They've put out some good titles. Now, we have seen some evidence that they're cozying up with Epic a little bit. One of their games has gone Epic exclusive. Not sure what else we're going to see there, but going to be watching with a little bit of suspicion. But I'm also very interested to see what games they're putting out this year. So that's at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Central European Standard. So those three, the Microsoft, Bethesda, and Devolver on Sunday we will be restreaming with commentary on Twitch. And then on Monday, there's a ton going on Monday. We're not going to be restreaming it all, but we'll be doing as much coverage as we can. The only showcase that we will be restreaming is Square Enix. Looks like there's some interesting stuff coming from them this year. That's Monday evening, June 10th, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And that's 3 a.m. Tuesday for Central European Standard. So, Square Enix looks like, as I said, it's got some interesting things coming out. We've got a mysterious game called Outriders that we don't know a ton about, but I'm looking forward to finding out more about that. We've got Marvel's Avengers coming from them as well. What kind of a game are we expecting in Marvel's Avengers? Have you looked much into it, Cyb? Like, do you know what kind of a genre we're looking at? Is it a fighting game? Is it an open world game? Like, I haven't had the chance to investigate it much myself.
No, these are two games that I figured were going to be shite. I'm trying to think.
You're not expecting good things from it, okay?
Yeah, no, I'm not. The site. There we go. I was trying to figure out how to walk that one back. The site of what they would be potentially for what is coming is really up in the air. At first when I heard about them, I just assumed that they were just going to be like the basic run of the mill movie video game tie-ins, which is going to be garbage. I didn't think that they would have, or that they would actually contain anything that was of worth, but I'm hearing a lot of people who are really hyped for it, that are in the industry, that have seen it in one way or another. So due to that being a thing, I am more inclined to pay attention to what's going on, and we're going to try and cover the announcements about both of those games, because what we're hearing is that they're going to be amazing, from people who have seen it, from people who don't normally say that about these particular games. Now, have they sold out to the big corporate and they're pushing this because there's a vested interest to push this? I don't know, but we'll see.
That remains to be seen. I mean, we'll see for ourselves on Monday night, hopefully. We'll see for ourselves whether these look like quality titles or if they look like sellout titles. So you're saying initially when you heard about Marvel's Avengers, you were not expecting big things, but you're hearing from somewhat reliable sources that this could be a really exciting game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hearing from a ton of sources that basically that this is going to have some pretty good tech, pretty good implementation, and that it's not going to be garbage. Now, I have heard this before, like I said, with pretty much every movie game. The last movie game that gave me any kind of, oh, hey, that's kind of cool, was some of the Lord of the Rings games way back when. And it's like that was the very first time that I had any generalized interest in some of the movie games that came out. Past that, there's really been nothing, unless you're like super diehard fan, there's not even a reason to play most of the games usually, because it's just like they get the actor in to do some voice lines that only total up to like 3 or 4 hours worth of work, and you're like, oh cool, and then it's fancy and just propels some basic plot that is non-canon.
So
and then that's it.
This game is going to be an Avengers movie tie-in? Is that what we're expecting?
Well, yeah. Apparently, it's going to be a tie-in. Now, I don't think it's going to be canon. Again, they never are. They have never ever been canon. But I think that I'm hearing it's going to be like open world, and it's going to create some really, really, really interesting stuff that most people have never seen before, supposedly. This is what I hear from these people, and that's why I don't necessarily take it too seriously, and I don't encourage anybody to be like, all right, book that on the calendar. It's like, if you're pleasantly surprised, be pleasantly surprised, but don't go expecting anything more than maybe just a little bit more of a polished product this time around, because honestly, I've been in this exact same place for ever since they started making movie tie-in game things, and every single time it's a disappointment. Every single time it's not that good. Every single time it's overhyped to the nth degree, and it's not actually good or useful. So I would recommend heavily for most people to take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
But it is interesting enough. Less so the Avengers game, and more so the Outriders game. It seems to be very interesting where they're going with that.
Yeah, so, that one, I mean, I've only seen the short teaser they put out, which is just a dude waking up from cryo sleep, basically. Which, so really, I don't know if you have any additional information on that. I have nothing on that game in my mind. Although, I mean, it's, besides the obvious similarities in the title, like it does seem like it could be along the lines of the Outer Worlds. So, I don't know, another game where someone wakes up from cryo sleep. There have been so many of those lately. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a common genre. It's like and it even fits it even fits the archetype for the hero's journey. So because of that, it's like, it's really, really easy for somebody to like basically click in with it. So it should be very interesting to see what they have to offer with that. And that's the one I think I'm more excited for, because most of the positivity that I'm hearing is around that. Because apparently you're going to be able to make your own hero. It's going to be fairly open world-ish. It's going to have a lot of like really cool tech. They've been working on it for a while. Japanese writing is either spot on, extremely confusing, or really, something that is generally really well done. That's basically the three fields. It's like, it's either really good, or just extremely confusing to the point where it doesn't make sense. Trigger is one of the best writers, I think. He did Kill la Kill. He did when supernatural battles become commonplace. That's the name of that show. He's done a lot of really great writing, but then he also did the one last year that I can't even remember the name of, because it was just you got about halfway through the show and it was really good up to that point, and then it started to like kind of like go into the realm of like, what? Wait, what? And then it's like, oh yeah, of course we're going to space, because why not? And okay, now the dinosaur girl is a spaceship, because why not?
Because why the heck not?
Because don't you know that when dinosaurs go to space, they become robots? And not just robots, they become a giant ship, because, again, zero reason for it. Zero, like, preamble, zero plot laydown. I'm not going to call Trigger bad, but in some cases his stuff doesn't make sense. But that's like I said, that's most everything out of Japan is either good, really good, or makes no sense whatsoever. Like
there's often a good mixture of both. That whole dinosaurs turning into spaceships thing, though. I mean, I've known that since grade 2, man. I mean, that's an established scientific fact.
I must have been sick that day.
I wrote a report on it, although I might be mixing that up with a story I wrote.
Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah. Well, anyway, interesting to look at. It's going to be interesting to see what's coming from Square Enix. Like I said, we'll be covering that Monday night. Of course, in the wake of the build-up to E3, tons of news is dropping, and so we're going to go through some of that now. We've had there's been a number of leaks over the past few days about Cyberpunk 2077 and some mysterious boxes leaking, and so we've had a leak from Germany. There was a leak of a mysterious largish box at some kind of a gaming store that just said Cyberpunk 2077 on the side, and it was kind of posted by, I'm guessing, an employee of the store that said, what's in the box? What is this? Could it be a Cyberpunk 2077 Collector's Edition? We don't really know what that one is. We discussed it a little bit on our Discord server. We don't know what it is, and so we don't want to speculate too much. It could just be a box that some merch comes in. It could just be a box with promotional material in it for a store. We don't know. We just don't know. It's an odd shape for a collector's edition, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's a little bit odd. I don't believe that one. We did have some people come out from CDPR and say, yeah, that's not the collector's edition. They didn't say what it was, I think.
It looks like an official something, but we just as to what it actually is hard to say.
I don't think that it's. I have reasons to doubt that it's the collector's edition, and here's why. The regular box art and then the other stuff that's come out clearly showcases Cyberpunk 2077. This is when they're shipping like clothes and stuff, though. It's just with the brand name Cyberpunk. They have multiple ideas for this book planned. In fact, one of the big devs there actually said that he was hoping that this would become a constant series over the next lifetime of the company, which means new games coming out every few years. I completely think that they're onto something with that. And in order to do that from a marketing standpoint, you don't create and you don't immediately reflect on it being a. You want to save the main name. So the main name that they're going to be going under is Cyberpunk for the IP in general. They're not going to be going under the name Cyberpunk 2077 for their main label. It's all going to be just Cyberpunk because they're going to do old games, new games, games that continue on into the future, games that go back, to the CD Projekt Red. For the Cyberpunk Red stuff that Telsorian's putting out. Over the next 20, 30 years of game development. That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be going all over the place. And you hope that that's true. But what they would do in the case of the collector's edition is, I believe solidly that they would definitely have that 2077 tag on that. I think I'm almost 100%. But again, that's something that's just an assumption because we haven't seen too much yet, and we haven't confirmed whether or not one thing is as it is, or whether it's just a fancy mock-up, or however that would end up being. So yeah.
All right, but there was a second leak on Reddit. There was a leak of a picture supposedly showing the contents of basically the base edition of Cyberpunk 2077. Like the box that you would actually get the game in, and you can see this picture floating around. It's kind of on a black. It's situated on a black box with another layer of. It kind of looks like a wooden stage almost. On top of that, and it's got the 3 versions: PC, Xbox One, and PS4, with the Cyberpunk 2077 box art. The male V standing on the yellow background, Cyberpunk 2077 in front of him. It's got the 18 rating, and then on the sides it shows what appears to be some of the interior box art, including V's, jacket with the flaming skull. It's apparently going to contain a map of Night City and a book of lore, basically, a book of general information about the cyberpunk world. So, also stickers, postcards, and other digital bonuses things. Now, I just want to, before we dive into this, I want to make it clear we can't state with 100% certainty that this is legit, but a lot of places seem to be reporting that it looks legit. Like there's some reasons to think it's legit, but we cannot say with 100% certainty. Anyway, go ahead, Si.
So I want to cover this because there's a couple of key things to really take away here that is unique to the situation. And there's a couple other tie-ins that we've had this week. So we've had a whole bunch of people who have come out and said, oh, hey, you know what? The game's not coming out this year. Hello, Max in the chat. I see that. Not in the chat. Sorry, I'm chatting with Max at blah, blah. So
Max was in the chat. Max Derritt. Yeah, Max was in the chat earlier. I saw.
Yeah, we're also talking on the side right now. So just saying, hey. So there's a couple of things that are really important to focus on this. That if this is correct, let's just take the running assumption that it is correct. This flies in the face of two things that we've heard recently. Recently, there's been a lot of people saying, oh, no, this game is not coming out anytime soon because, number one, it hasn't been rated yet. And number two, it's clearly coming out for the next-gen consoles, that we doubt if it even was ever planned to come out for the current consoles. Well, we know that this might not be 100% true. I'm starting to lean towards the fact that it is. But what really does this is that these are the same stuff. This is the same info that just got unveiled at the big poster down in California, including the fact that it's slated very, very, very clearly that this is coming out for the current consoles on the on the huge banner, and that the rating. There's a lot of people saying, oh no, the game's not coming out because it hasn't been rating yet. Rating, that's going to take months for them to get through. The rating, as I understand, was basically done like a couple of weeks ago. And that's not been, that you don't announce that you do not announce your game is 18 plus ever in advertising. There's a rule in marketing behind this. If you say this product is 18 plus, the only time you will want to mention that, and even then they don't do that, is when you're advertising like a casino or alcohol or something else. And that you're not going to have them come out specifically to say, hey, this is 18 plus. Because you will turn off a lot of buyers before they even go to check out your product. If you say rating pending, because you recorded the ad before the rating was given out, and that rating pending was just something that it's kind of like it's a little bit of a loophole. It's like, how to put this well.
Well, I mean, it's like you're not announcing the rating yet. It's pending.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you know what the rating is or is going to be.
It's like so you're calling attention to a product that if some people know from the get-go is like, hey, there's nudity in this. And you'll have some people walking down the street, and you've got this person who's trying to advertise this thing, say, hey, come check this out. There's nudity in this. You have a lot of people who, because they're on the street, they're going to say, no, thank you, and they're going to keep walking. However, if you say, hey, come check out this brand new, cool, awesome video game, it's amazing, there's tons of stuff, and it's in this dystopian future kind of thing, a lot of people go, oh, I'm gonna check that out. So then they walk in to check it out, and while they're in there, it's like, oh, FYI, it also has nudity. Then they're like, okay, well, I'm already looking at it. What looks like it looks good. It doesn't look like it's whatever. So this screenshot here that we're seeing is not that same kind of advertisement. So it's not the rating pending thing in the trailers and whatnot. That's one thing. The just the picture of the box art while it's up on whatever website this is meant for, obviously is not it's not the call out to this. It's not the guy standing on the street calling you in to check out the game. This is what you see when you're already there.
Right.
Right. So just to make that clear, that I'm not what's that term when you contradict yourself? I'm not contradicting myself. This is the bit that you see once you're in the tent looking at the product. This is not the main advertisement, and we will see that probably for most of the advertisements until it comes up to the game's actually out. Then we'll start to see probably the announcer say, game is rated 18 plus or whatever.
Right.
But I think they're gonna go with that rating pending as much as they can until it's locked in every country possible, because all they're gonna say is it's the international trailer, and it's a true statement. The international trailer says rating pending for all of their stuff. And then that way you get more people in the tent to check out the product before they understand that they're going to see dongs and kitty cat.
Well, yeah, you don't lead with saying, hey, this is going to be explicit nudity and adult only rated. You don't lead with that, because that just gives people ideas in their head. In fact, it's going to lead some people to think, oh, this is a crap game, because a lot of the games that feature that, not all of them. I mean, you have some now that are, quality games that are trying to include that kind of stuff. But, there is a general stereotype that, well, if it's, prawn, every other aspect of it is crap. And that's that. It's not an entirely undeserved stereotype, but you don't lead with that.
Yeah.
Say, no, this is an awesome game. It's got this. It's got this awesome feature. It's got that awesome feature. Oh yeah, it's it's going to be very visceral and have adult content, and it's going to be real. We're not censoring anything, but it's awesome game, adult content, awesome game. So that's how you do it. So anyway, that is a lot of people have been hung up on that rating, that 18 rating sticker that's basically on the game boxes in this image. Wondering if it's been photoshopped. And so that's led to some suspicion, but if what you're saying is true, that the rating has been finalized, then that's...
Well, it's not been finalized for everywhere. There's lots of countries where... There's lots of little countries that take their time with basically confirming stuff, because their rating boards are a little bit different than the international one or whatever. It's like an excellent example of this is Australia. Australia has vastly different rules than everybody else, and most games that are really, really gratuitously violent and has any kind of dongs or kitty cats in them are going to be immediately banned from play. In fact, I know there's a couple of journalists who constantly make fun of this. It's like, just so you know, I'm playing a game that's currently illegal here. So if you hear, my door kick in and people drag me away, it's because I was playing a game that had, that you could behead an enemy in. It's like, good Lord. Some people to the extreme, right? So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. All right, so potentially legit leak of the Cyberpunk 2077 box and contents. So, but potentially, again, we're not going on record saying this is 100% legit. What we are saying is that there's nothing glaring to say that it's fake. Let's put it that way. We will, of course, find out a lot more information over the course of E3, and we are definitely expecting something at the Microsoft showcase tomorrow. Plus, CD Projekt Red is on the show floor there at E3. This is supposed to be their biggest E3 in their history, potentially one of the biggest events, gaming conference events in their history. So I'm expecting big things from them. I'm expecting, lots of... We're going to get a ton of info, I'm sure. Other news to get to today. We've already discussed the Fallout 76 improvements to the combat system, but is there anything else we're expecting, or anything else that has come out regarding Fallout 76? We're not going to dive terribly in depth into this because I don't think that's necessarily what our audience is here for, but anything more to say about Fallout 76 at this point? Besides,
no,
wait for the Bethesda conference tomorrow.
Yeah, wait for the conference tomorrow. I understand it, completely understand the loss of a lot of goodwill that they have covered. There's lots of people in the comments who are upset with them, who want Bethesda to be called out, and absolutely. Again, I don't know how much more clear I can be on this. They need to be called out on their crap, on their garbage. But me stating the obvious, that in 4 years, 76 is actually going to be a halfway decent game, minus whatever overblown microtransactions there are, is a true statement. It's a statement of fact. The game is going to be pretty good and pretty popular if the current trend of how live action games that are open world, kind of like free roam stuff, are put out, they're absolutely trashed, and then 5 years later, 3 years later, people are playing them constantly. Like, look at Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves came out, we reviewed it, there was just general negativity about that game, like all over the place. It was bloody terrible. There was basically nothing. There's a huge group of people who play it right now. A massive, massive group of people. So again, it's like, I'm not stating this to make people upset, I'm just stating the obvious. When you have an open world game that has some things in it that are good, and you have a decent company behind it who says, we want to make this better, and the developers behind it actually care. There's some cases where that doesn't exist, and the game goes to crap, aka basically anything from EA, right? The overall game can recover, and can recover quite successfully. I mean, No Man's Sky is a game that should never have made it past, its first year anniversary. But not only has it, it's also got one of the biggest audiences for that kind of game that are playing it, and they're all saying the same thing, is that this game is really, really, really good now, and that people should play it, etc., etc., etc. I tried it for 3 hours just to see how much it had recovered, and it has recovered a lot. Generally speaking, it's pretty good now. It's still not what I was looking for. It's still not what I wanted, and I still don't even think it's what was advertised. Essentially, there's lots of new stuff that wasn't advertised, but even what going off of what was, it's still not quite there. And the same thing will happen with 70. The exact same thing will happen with 76.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen several mentions of Starfield in our live chat. Can we expect anything about Starfield this year?
Well, so I said on Wednesday that they're going to have a surprise for us. They're going to have a game, or they're going to have some kind of a news info. They're going to have some kind of a trailer that we weren't expecting to see, because they can't run a full show off of basically what we know they're going to cover. They're going to have an ace up their sleeve. They're going to play it, and it's going to be probably quite badass. That's like a high 80% that's going to happen. It's not 100%, because this might be a disappointing year. Year before last year was quite disappointing. It was very short, and it was very, very underwhelming, right? This year, however, I think that they must have something up their sleeve. Could it be a new 15-minute segment looking at what they're working on when it comes to Starfield? Did Todd lie when he said that game's not going to be at E3? Because as we all know, Todd Howard is the bastion of truth that never exaggerates or lies about anything ever in the history of his entire career. He's never ever told a fib, right? I'm lying. Obviously, he lies constantly. It's part of his job to lie. That's why it's there. It's why it's it's why it's an issue. Like goodness sakes, it's just how it functions, right? So just remember that. Just keep that kind of focused, and we'll probably see something. What exactly will it be? We don't know yet, but they've got something up their sleeve that they're going to show off. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new trailer for both games, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. But I suspect that we will probably see something Starfield related, is in the form of like a new trailer or something. Because I think they know that if they can put out a trailer, at least giving us something that the community can start to like mull the game over in their mind. I don't think that they're going to do a cold launch on it, because I don't think they can. It's a new IP. Nobody's ever played this before. Nobody even knows what the storyline is, or what the goals are, or what the universe entails. They've got to start building some kind of a lore or a connected world to the game. I mean, you look at where we were this time last year, we had more info out about Cyberpunk than what we currently have out right now about Starfield. So there has to be a point at which this makes sense. There has to be a point at which this can build off of that generalized concept and make it, a better success. So that's my 2 cents on that.
The Todd Howard memes are free flowing in the live chat right now. You guys are hilarious. So somebody asked, didn't they confirm that Starfield is priority over the Elder Scrolls 6 at this stage? Well,
Oh yeah.
We know from last year that Starfield is their next game from Bethesda's in-house development, and then Elder Scrolls 6 is after that. So Starfield is coming next. So
if what we're hearing is true, through the grapevine, through the little birds, then we will expect to see Starfield. We expect to be playing Starfield within the next 24 months. So within the next 2 years, we expect to be playing it. So that means it's probably going to be teased this year. There's a good chance of that. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. To about this time next year, it'll probably be highlighted. They'll probably release late 2020 or sometime in 2021. That's the current, more or less, what they've been signaling with development, with their IPs and websites and stuff like that they've been booking, and other stuff like that. It's just kind of flowing in that general direction. So,
all right. We've had other exciting news this week. Of course, Baldur's Gate 3 announced from Larian Studios. We got a teaser for that, which I would recommend. Well, I mean, you might not want to watch it right after eating. There's basically a dude goes through a pretty gruesome transformation, and but it got me pretty hyped for it.
Wait a second. You mean not everybody goes through that every morning?
Not typically, no.
Oh.
I mean, there's the occasional time when it's been a crazy Friday night, but generally no. I don't turn into a mind flayer every morning. No. All right, so you've got to update your data files on Human Customs, I think. But Baldur's Gate 3, we predicted this. Cybus had some info on this for a while, and now, of course, again, I feel Baldur's Gate 3 from Larian Studios.
I feel really badly about this because this is something that I teased like in the fall last year. I was like, yeah, I know who's working on Baldur's Gate 3, and I teased it ever so subtly, going, just kind of hinting at it, dropping it. And I was expecting this announcement to come out this fall. I was not expecting them to post this announcement before E3. And I lost the ability to lead off with it like we did with the Borderlands stuff. And I was really disappointed. And honestly, I'm not unhappy with this, because obviously this means that they're a lot further along than I thought. Not only are they a lot further along, they have a lot more employees than the last time I checked. Last time I checked, they were sitting at around 100 something. They're at almost 200 right now. Like, whoa, baby. They're really pouring people into this project. And this project that we're going to see this evolve in a lot of ways very similar to how the evolution of DOS 2 happened, Divinity Original Sin 2, where they had constant community updates, where they had probably an early version of the game featuring the first level and or area, in which they put out early for people to try. Last time it was their backers had access to the first for Act 1, and you could mess around in Act 1, and it had a lot of updates over the period of well over a year. So this might be how they're handling this. They've said that they're doing these community feedbacks. The first one was put out, I think, yesterday, and it was hilarious. The dude goes to Wizards of the Coast, kidnaps in a magic bottle, because why not, right? Kidnaps one of the lead guys at Wizards of the Coast and takes him back to Europe, and proudly proclaims that this is how they're going to make the best D&D game, as they have one of the basically the head guys on the whole D&D world inside a bottle, and they're forcing him to help them make the game. It's just brilliant marketing. Funny as ever. If you've never watched any of Larian's, they do these live action, basically just skits that they act out, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's not coming out this year. We know that for sure. We know that 100% that it's not coming out this year, because they have another product coming out this year, and that they've announced yesterday that they're going to be doing the progression of this game identically to how they did DOS 2, whether or not that may or may not necessarily include a live early access to the game for select members of the community. So it's really interesting. I'm really happy, obviously. I wish that they had kind of waited so that I could have the story on it, but really happy, generally speaking, with where they're going, what they're doing, how they're building this into the game. It was really... I'm going to pull up just a quick screenshot that I took of their goals. So their goals include big grand adventure, true to D&D lore, no mussing with the lore, no doing other stuff, player agency, overall delivery focused on making this a true D&D experience, and then of course making sure that they include or combine it's a word that I can't say. It's the transformation thingy that happens that we see in the trailer. It's where a normal creature, normal sentient being is transformed into a mind flayer, which is a horrendous process in which the soul of the user, or the soul of the transformed person, is destroyed to turn them into this other creature. It's horrendous, and they did make it clear, and I think it was maybe a nod to where they're going with the storyline and the direction, and maybe a big major change within the story, is they did kind of mention, oh hey, the only way that you can reverse this is through a wish spell, which is something that's very rare in the game. So perhaps my humble opinion is that, which I may or may not have any actual inside info, is that I suspect strongly that a major character within the game will be transformed, and then that the goal of the game will be to de-transform that said character. So interesting, very very interesting.
Very interesting. I'm super stoked for this. Baldur's Gate, as I said in the video I released earlier this week, Baldur's Gate 2 was my first in-depth RPG that I ever played. I was blown away by it. Played it through several times. Just had a ton of fun. I have great memories playing that game. Of course, Baldur's Gate, 1 and 2 were developed by BioWare, and now that's, it's sort of back in their glory days of BioWare, developing Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 and Neverwinter Nights, and now it's moved on to Larian Studios. And so if I see somebody was asking about what the game is, and then they've gotten some answers in the chat. That's good. You folks are awesome. So I think we can just move on from that. Some other news. Blizzard canceled 2 games recently. They canceled a StarCraft first-person shooter plus another mobile game. What is this mood? And they did this apparently in favor of developing Overwatch 2, as well as some other stuff. What does this tell us about what's going on at Blizzard's studio right now?
People being really, really, really peeved off, basically. Like David was really choked about this. He was really, 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 really unhappy.
You're talking
and
about...
I can't blame him.
You're talking about David Gibson.
Yeah.
He's a developer who tweeted out...
Lead developer on the project that got canceled. Spent 2 years of his life working on a game that you will never see probably even screenshots of.
And that's really unfortunate when you hear about stuff like that. Unfortunately, it does happen in the gaming industry where you're working on a project and then it gets shut down and nobody ever sees it.
Yeah, one of the big name writers that we kind of banter back and forth with he's like, oh, Blizzard canceled a StarCraft shooting game? Really? What year is this again? Like, he said something snippy, because it's like the number of StarCraft games that have been canceled from Blizzard, I think, are in the high 20s. Like, that's how messed up they are when it comes to doing any other game in the StarCraft universe other than the RTS. They are so absolute crap with the general concept of sticking through and carrying a game through, that they have burnt over... We know that they've burnt over 12 games within the StarCraft universe, where it's either a shooter or features some character running through killing Zerg. It's like 12 of them at the very minimum, and in some cases we've heard as many as high 20s. That means that they've had a team of anywhere between 22 to 100 people that have been working on a StarCraft shooter game since StarCraft originally, basically about a year after StarCraft was originally put out. So they've burnt entire careers basically now. Like, we're getting to the point where they've burnt entire careers on the idea of, hey, let's make a shooter about this game and then let's cancel it. Let's make a new shooter about this game and then cancel it. Let's make a new shooter about this game, but let's give the rights to somebody else so that they can license the stuff, make the game that they think is going to be good. They'll put 4 years of their blood, sweat, and tears into it. We're going to review it, before it's supposed to get starting to get some marketing put into it, and we'll cancel the deal, withdraw the thing, and burn all of their effort to the ground. Again, Blizzard, you are so crap at making games, and you hear a lot. Oh well, it's the refusal to put out a bad game. Really, it's your refusal to put out a bad game? Excuse me, Heroes of the Storm. Excuse me, take your pick of any basically half of the last expansions for World of Warcraft. What about what about that stuff? Their insistence that, oh no, it's all about the quality. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. In fact, I know it's not true, because I know that the biggest thing that you have to worry about when you're a lead dev at Blizzard is the inner office politics of the who's making what. That is your first and most feared thing that you have to worry about, is who's going to stab you in the back and who's going to basically cancel your project because you didn't happen to shake the right hand or nod to the right person in the right time of the day. That's really where this boils down to, and it's a little bit on the disgusting side to see, especially so many journalists and gamers go, oh no, well, this is a good thing because it clearly would have been a crap game. Oh, like Heroes of the Storm was just such a brilliant game that offered, that the current dying populace behind Overwatch is nothing to it. That there's nothing to any of that kind of stuff. Like, come on. Crying out loud, give me a break. And then as far as like the fact that they've burnt so many careers on this, Like, they've made people burn out from trying to work on these projects, trying to, they're doing everything they possibly can, and the head people know that they're going to cancel the project because they've canceled the last 14. You honestly think they're going to now go into another one? It's like, good heavens.
Yeah, that's got to be really defeating. Just super defeating. David Gibson's tweet says, "Today's my last day at Blizzard. Unfortunately, you'll never see what we made over the past 2 years. That's game dev, but we'll always have Overwatch." Of course, he gets a nice 6-week vacation until his next gig, but still, that's got to be terribly defeating.
It's extremely defeating, and I've said this before to certain devs, and I'll say this again: devs, please, if you're a dev or if you're planning to be a dev, please listen to me. If you're working for a company that you fear at any moment might cancel your entire project, at the very minimum, keep a backup black drive and just release it to the public. Because, again, a lot of the best stuff that we've had recently have gone through this. So, the best example that I'd probably put out is Deadpool. That's probably the best example that I can give. Deadpool was canceled. It was worked on, canceled, worked on, canceled, worked on, canceled. And a couple of the head creators took some of the best stuff that they had done as kind of like a vertical slice, and they leaked that. And the only reason why we have Deadpool 1 and 2 right now, which are both great movies, the only reason why we have any of that is because they put it out and they said, you're canceling the project? All right. Leaks out, and oh my, look at all of the people who are like, this is the best thing I've seen in a really long time. This has to happen. Get working on this. And they see the public outcry and they go, okay. Maybe it wasn't. But it's also like give yourself a chance to at least get to let the public see what you were working on. Nothing is worse than having an artist work on a piece of art for 2 years and then burning it in front of them before anybody else sees. Not because you think it's terrible or you think there's implications as to the meaning of it or anything like that. It's just like, hey, I paid you to paint a picture of this scene, and I'm gonna burn it. When you're putting on the last few strokes, I'm gonna burn it all, and then and we're never gonna talk about it. It's like, wow, that just, like, how heartbreaking is that for the creators? So if you're a creator, just bear that in mind. Always keep a, you know what a black drive is. Just keep one handy somewhere. It's not that terribly hard, and you don't have to leak it directly. Just give it to a friend who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and let it leak out that way. One of the best. Actually, a really good game in the Fallout series was Van Buren, and that got leaked out when it wasn't supposed to. And it's a really solid, for what it's there. It's completely not finished, but for what's there, it looks pretty solid. It looked like it would have been a pretty decent game. Not exactly the kind of thing that we're looking for, but yeah. Overall, this is pretty bad news in general, because this means that, look, they canceled one mobile game to help them build another mobile game and to help them work on this other project that, again, in all honesty, is probably going to get canceled too. Like, Blizzard doesn't know what they're doing when it comes to this kind of stuff. Yeah, they sure say that, oh yeah, it's a quality. At the peak of WoW, you had 13 million players. Now you have just over 1 million. Really? So this is what your quality has brought? Dark Hollow and a couple others, it's like, there's only a couple of, WoD and BFA are bad expansions. I disagree a little bit. I think that generally speaking, they started to let the ball slip quite a bit. They still don't understand the core concept of why people prefer Classic over the current game, and it has very little to do with the gameplay. It has mostly to do with the community and how the game fosters community in Classic and it punishes community in in the current iterations of the game. So just generally speaking, I get your point, and that's cool, and I'm being a little harsh on them, but overall I think that Blizzard has done bad moves, and they've done so a lot to do with politics, more than you think, because there's lots of projects that never see the light of day, lots of them, and lots of them because they're bad games. But there's also a lot of projects that never see the light of day because of politics. And I'm not talking like, politics. I'm talking about like, the inner workings of, oh, you didn't tell Joe that, happy birthday. So now Joe's not going to make it, Joe isn't going to upload the latest version of your presentation to the board. He's going to upload an older one, and you're not going to be there to see that. And they're gonna say, "Come on, what's Jimmy doing? Why does this look like what we saw like 3 months ago? Cancel the project. He clearly doesn't know what he's doing." Stuff like that happens. Now that may or may not have actually happened to somebody I know. So, anyways, moving on.
All right, you are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast / Triple S League E3 pre-show, and I love seeing all of the conversation that's taking place in the live chat. If you want to see the conversation, if you want to keep it going after the live broadcast, we welcome you to join our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S fans about all of the things we love to talk about and stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Click the link below to join, and be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. Also check out the E3 or the live stream schedule channel for our entire schedule of E3 broadcasts over today, tomorrow, and Monday, basically. So there was somebody in the chat who asked about Ninja Theory's new game, allegedly called Bleeding Edge. Do you know much about this, Saib? I haven't had a chance to look into it much. I do, I am.
Yeah, it's one of those titles that I just haven't had the time to review.
There's just been so much lately.
There's a lot that we're going to be looking at that's coming out. There's a lot of projects that I'm really excited for, but because I haven't seen anything public yet, then in my humble opinion, I can't. I'm going to let them. Let them come out with what they're showing off in a public setting before I comment on it. And that's one of the ones where it's like yeah, I'm genuinely interested to see how they go about it and to see what they put out, but until we see what they are actually putting out to the public, we don't know, because as you've reviewed a game this week, or was it last week? You reviewed a game where it was like, this is a game that's, what we were expecting to see this, and what we got was something completely different and maybe not that very good.
Yeah, Drogon was a big disappointment, unfortunately. It was now you had to go back quite a while to find out, what it was originally announced to be, but what it was originally announced to be versus what it wound up being was a big disappointment. But I won't dive into that. You can check out my review on that. But unfortunately, from the developers of Dreamfall Chapters, I was expecting more. Hopefully, their next game turns out a little better. All right, one more big news item, and then we'll talk about a few more games that we're expecting to see at E3, and then we'll probably wrap up for the morning until, of course, we dive into the Star Wars live stream later. But there was another bit of news from this past week. Okay, so when you have a friend who's in a really bad relationship, and they, it's clearly just dragging them down, and then they finally break free, and suddenly they start to flourish, and it's just a breath of fresh air. Well, apparently, we have something similar that's happened with the Bungie split with Activision. Apparently, Destiny is doing very well ever since Bungie parted ways with Activision. Saib can give more detail on this than I have, but that's what I've been hearing. So what's been going on there?
So first of all, I'll just pop this into the chat again, is please subscribe to the Triple S League Twitch channel. Due to copyright stuff and other issues, we're going to be streaming the content straight to Twitch. We're of course Ashley's going to be uploading a ton of videos kind of some play-by-play stuff, definitely our reactions to some trailers, but just due to how the way that everything is kind of in a place with YouTube streaming right now, and YouTube just in general for monetization, it's going to be best. We have official permission to live stream everything with no issues over to the Twitch channel. We do not have that same permission when it comes to YouTube, and we don't want to have our streaming capability knocked out for 3 months. So basically, head over to there, sub there. We're of course going to be uploading like stuff over to YouTube, of course, and we're going to be doing, of course, some live shows and some live reactions, some post-show stuff. We'll be doing. Of course, what we're going to do is when we get Cyberpunk content, we're going to do, slow motion, scene by scene breakdown of the trailer, that kind of stuff. That's going to come out, quite quickly, or we might even do it live shortly thereafter. But if you want to hear us kind of react to and comment on what's everything that's going on over on E3 and everything that's being shown off there as it comes to the live stuff, sub over to the channel so that you can watch it right over there. We do have a regular streaming schedule over there, and the regular shows may or may not be of interest to you. It's mostly Curie doing cool stuff. I'll be getting back into Twitch probably this fall. We're also going to be doing other things like we're definitely going to do a DOS 2 playthrough now, because they've got new content coming, they've got an expansion coming for it, they've got a bunch of other stuff, and now with the introduction of the Baldur's Gate 3, we definitely want to go back and showcase the previous game and kind of go through that. So we're going to be doing all that kind of stuff in the future, but for the show, let's head over and follow us over there so that we can start hitting this up pretty good. So basically, as it goes for Bungie, Activision, and again, this I can't stress this enough. Activision Blizzard is not god tier when it comes to making games, and they most certainly are not to be trusted. In all honesty, the whole Bungie Destiny thing, it kind of showcases this. They were murdering that game. They were choking the life out of that game every single day. They were slowly putting Bungie into a grave and slowly piling dirt on top of it. In no uncertain terms can I make that clear enough that if Activision Blizzard had its way, this game would probably be facing its demise sometime this year or next year. It was simply their absolutely atrocious management of that title that has led to the primary problems that plagued the early development of the game, that plagued the release, that plagued the expansion, and now that they've finally gotten out from underneath the incessant the insanity that game was. They finally gotten out past it. That the game is starting to turn around, and people are like, now this is the Destiny that I remember. This is the Destiny that I've been wanting to play for a long time. These changes are exactly what I was looking for, and these are things that they were told not to do by Activision Blizzard. Again and again. I mean, I went off on the head guy over at Blizzard right now. The guy has failed on every project that he's touched. He started off with Star Wars Galaxies. He absolutely murdered that game, and he took the game from nearing going over 100 it was nearing 1 million active subs. They took that game and within I think within 3 months drove it down to 100,000 people playing it or less. It was just god awful what he did to it, and he fails upward. He failed at that, and he got a higher position. Then he failed at that one, and he got another higher position. He failed at that one, and now he's running Blizzard. It's wow.
How does that happen exactly?
Only in only in these companies can this happen. Like, seriously, it's just it's same with some of the guys, some of the lead people over at EA. Exact same problem. Everything they touch fails. Everything they touch turns to ash. But somehow they're now leading the company. It's like do you invite yourself to parties and take pictures of people in compromising positions? Is that what's going on here? Because, like, seriously, how I don't understand how, but whatever. So
Well, things are better now, apparently. So that's good to hear that things are going well for Bungie after the split with Activision. That Destiny is starting to flourish a little more, and so that's good to hear. I mean, I'm not really a Destiny player, but for fans of that game, I'm happy for all of you that things are getting better on that front. All right, let's finish up talking more about some E3 stuff and what we're expecting to see. Jedi Fallen Order is the one thing from EA, as we mentioned earlier, that we are looking forward to coverage on, and in just over 2 hours, we're going to go live on Twitch with live reaction coverage of EA's live stream about that. It's going to be a short one. You'll get our reactions, and then that's the only live restream we're doing today. We are not going to be covering the rest of EA's content. I'll probably be watching it, but
there's a chance that I might. Yeah, we might. I'm kind of tempted to stream the Sims stuff, because the Sims stuff is something that, it is a product and it is a game that is widely loved by a lot of people. And if they were to do an about face and do it right, then that might be great. That might be really amazing. Just so that we're aware, though, and again, I'm going to reiterate this. The Sims industry, the Sims games in general, are basically built for microtransactions or additional transactions of some kind. There is currently $400 worth of DLC for Sims 3. Just to throw that into some kind of like general concept. The base DLC on The Sims 3 is $400. I suspect strongly that we will see them embrace this new form of microtransactions in the next Sims game. And I suspect strongly that they won't mention very much of any of it until it's out. Just kind of going on what we're seeing. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm less than interested in The Sims, but I mean, I might be watching the rest of the EA's. Well, I guarantee I will be watching a lot of the EA stuff just to be up on what's going on with them and what they're putting out, but we're not going to be live streaming any of that. We might do, if there's anything super interesting, we'll probably put out a reaction video. Other than that, we'll probably take a break after the Fallen Order stuff until tomorrow, when we're going to have a ton of live streams. As I said, you can find the full schedule on our Discord server, but we will be covering the Xbox, Bethesda, and Devolver Digital showcases all live on Twitch. Speaking of the Microsoft/Xbox, we have Halo Infinite in the works, and I'm excited to see what they're doing there. I'm an old school Halo fan, and Saib, you've been saying that they've been working on some new tech for that game that's going to be really exciting. Anything more to say on that before we dive into the Xbox showcase tomorrow?
No, we haven't gotten too much more. They've been pretty tight-lipped. We know that this is going to be a huge project. It's going to be a huge game. It's probably going to be extremely successful. And we will more or less see this kind of play out. I think their moves, I think their announcements, I think there's going to be some crazy cool announcements tomorrow, and things are looking pretty darn cool. So, yeah. Yeah.
We're also expecting to see more from Doom Eternal, probably at the Bethesda Showcase conference, and so that'll be interesting. That's one of the things that I think a lot of people are hyped for from Bethesda. Of course, that's not developed in-house by Bethesda. It's one of their sister studios, and I think that's. I mean, I am very interested to see what some of the other ZeniMax studios have been working on. I think I said I'm interested in seeing what Arcane's been doing. I don't know. I can't think of a bad Arcane game off the top of my head. Big fan of the Dishonored series, big fan of Prey, and so I'm definitely interested to see what they've been working on, as well as some of the other stuff. There's going to be more Wolfenstein content. Oh, and something we haven't really talked about, surprisingly, is Borderlands 3. Where and when do you think we'll see Borderlands 3 stuff at E3, or are we going to be seeing any? I can't even remember now if.
Oh yeah, about that. They don't have a showcase, but I'm sure that we're going to see a little snippet of an ad here and there. It's definitely going to be on it's definitely going to be at the Microsoft showcase in the form of a trailer or something for sure. Mm-hmm. The DLC is going to be announced this week. Whether or not that happens within one of the showcases remains to be seen. Kind of don't necessarily think so. Because there is a little bit of a pushback between Epic and Microsoft right now, so that may or may not happen. But during the time period, we are going to see it obviously uploaded to their YouTube channel or something. They're going to cover that new DLC that we talked about way back in September, where they were doing new DLC for Borderlands 2 in preparation for Borderlands 3. That was something that you heard here first, which was pretty cool.
Right. And that's all the content that we had pre-planned to talk about. So, unless there's anything else, Cyb, we'll probably wrap it up here.
Hop on over to the Discord and hop on over to the Twitch channel. We're going to be doing that stuff there, and then of course we're going to be doing some normal stuff here on YouTube as much as we can. But yeah, hop in and join the conversation, because it's going to be an intense week here. So,
absolutely. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to this E3 pre-show / Augmented Reality podcast. There's been a big mixture of news as well as E3, just talking about E3 hype today. So we're really excited that you've all been here. It's been a hectic show, but this is going to be a fun weekend and, a fun week ahead, hearing all the new announcements. So we're really excited for it. Glad you all are able to join us. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as follow us over on our Twitch channel to catch all of the E3 content over the weekend. Thank you, everybody who supports this show by talking in the chat, by slamming that like button. And if you haven't done that yet, please take a moment to do that. That really helps us. If you're listening after the fact, leave a comment below. All of that helps YouTube see that this is a show that you appreciate, and it helps get it pushed out to new viewers, new watchers, and new listeners. So thank you all for that. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, Shannon Vega, Old Man Manson, and our 2 anonymous supporters, our channel members, Captain Dammit and Jason Cropper. And if you're listening after the fact on SoundCloud, iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or any of the other places that this podcast propagates to, we appreciate you as well. And feel free to join us on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings for the live show on YouTube, where you can interact with other listeners and be a part of the discussion. The Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. So in just over 2 hours is, as I said, the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order showcase that we are going to be covering live on Twitch, twitch.tv/triple_S_league. Or you can find the link on our Discord server, full schedule there as well. So we hope to see you all there. It should be a fun time. My name is Asheninity. On behalf of Cybsidian, thank you all so much for listening. And we will talk to you in a couple hours. You know what? The show, we're going to go live probably about 15 minutes early just to do some pre-discussion and that kind of a thing. So bear that in mind. So in just under 2 hours, we'll be live on Twitch to cover that. And that'll probably be our pattern for the entire weekend, for all of the live streams that come up that we'll be restreaming. We'll be going 10 or 15 minutes early. We'll be going live just to chat with you guys and talk about what we're anticipating from each showcase. All right, thank you all so much for listening, and we will talk to you soon.